Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and crack open 1970s and 80s. Tokyo's interconnected Wangan highways were basically an open playground. Highway racing would be totally reckless, right? Well, actually, their incredible longevity was built on this intense, non-negotiable internal code. They had a golden rule. Racing should never, ever put a normal commuter at risk. Prioritizing civilian safety was absolute. And on top of that, their secrecy was so incredibly tight that members supposedly didn't even know each other's real names. It was all about protecting their personal lives and everyday careers from the law.
And getting into this club? Almost impossible. Listen to this initiation process. First, you had to prove you could drive reliably and safely at speeds hitting 200 miles per hour. Pull that off, and you get the pink apprentice sticker. But that just starts your probation, which could last up to 5 brutal years. You had to win consistently, and if you made one mistake, you were out. Out of every 10 applicants, only 1 actually survived long enough to earn that legendary official silver sticker.
Section 3. The Highway Monsters. Okay, you really can't understand their dominance without talking about the absolute engineering marvels they were driving. These weren't your standard dealership cars. Take Vice President Yamada, for example. He piloted this incredibly aggressive Nissan Fairlady Z, boarded out to 3.1 liters with twin turbos, pumping out around 600 horsepower. But then you have President Yoshida. He drove the infamous Yoshida Special Porsche 930 Turbo, pushing about 620 horsepower. We're talking speeds of 320 kilometers per hour, dodging midnight traffic like it was standing completely still. And Yoshida, he took it to a whole other level. He literally shipped his car to Germany just to integrate actual Le Mans winning race car components into his street-legal Porsche. He threw on brakes and wheels from a Porsche 956, suspension from a 935, and even exclusive parts from the legendary 959. Slapping track-only prototype parts onto a highway commuter car takes a level of financial investment and pure obsession that is just mind-blowing. Section 4. Becoming a global phenomenon. So with cars basically glued to the asphalt and consistently beating rival gangs, their underguard status couldn't last forever. They blew up into a global pop culture phenomenon. By 1984, Yoshida was landing on Japanese magazine covers, and the club was all over Monthly Option magazine. And then, in 1990, the legendary Wangan Midnight manga launched, spanning 42 volumes and eventually getting an anime adaptation. It actually featured characters directly inspired by Yoshida and his crew. Honestly, their strict secrecy totally backfired and just fueled a massive media frenzy. But they needed to prove they weren't just a media myth. So in 1994, the club gathered at the AutoWorks Yatube test track to definitively showcase their speed in a measured environment. And man, did they deliver. An unnamed member in a Nissan Skyline R32 hit 289 kilometers per hour. Tamura reached 293 in his Mazda RX-7. And then Yoshida stepped up. He clocked in at 308 kilometers per hour. 308! In 1994, in a street car. To put that in perspective, that number is completely physics-defying for the time. It forever changed the tuning world and cemented Yoshida as the undisputed king of the club. And while they constantly denied being club members to avoid the police, These top drivers were quietly shaping the entire modern Japanese domestic car market. A member named Uwabo went on to found the iconic Abflug tuning company. Tamura, he took all that cutting-edge highway knowledge straight to Nismo, literally helping develop the modern GT-R, R35, and the Nissan Z. They were absolute legacy builders behind the scenes. Section 5, the fatal crash mystery. But, as the late 90s rolled in, the golden era started to crack. Police crackdowns intensified, speed cameras went up. Which brings us to the biggest question. Did a single crash really end the club? We need to put on our investigative hats here, because the official story of their downfall, it's full of massive, glaring holes. Here is the rumored 1999 story. Supposedly, there was a catastrophic turf war with the Bozazoku motorcycle gang that forced a race, which then spiraled into a massive multi-vehicle crash. The legend says that because innocent bystanders were killed, the golden rule was broken and the syndicate instantly disbanded out of honor, just dissolved overnight. Explainer.